Hey everybody, welcome to the Slick Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Langford. The point of this show is to help improve ourselves as dogmen and to raise the quality of the dogs on the end of our lead. So let's settle in, turn the volume up, and let's see if we can't learn a trick or two together from our guests. Alright everybody, you are listening to the Slick Tree Podcast, and I'm your host, Colby Langford, and today we've got Tracy Rash joining us. How are you doing today, Tracy?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Good, doing good. Just kind of so everybody knows, this is the first time I've actually talked to you, Tracy. We've never met or anything like that other than just seeing you on different squirrel dog groups and whatnot. But I was hoping you'd come on here and tell us a little bit about yourself and about some of the dogs and other stuff you've had.
Yeah, that's. I appreciate you calling and asking me to come on your show today. I'm a big talker, but I'm just an old nobody from South Carolina. I'm 54 years old. Started hunting when I was about 8 or 9 years old with a gentleman here at home, and started coon hunting with him. And he had a squirrel dog back in the day, a little hound. That back then we didn't know how good she was, but really she was probably a pretty good dog for what we knew as teenagers and stuff. But that's how I got my start with him, and I've just had a love of hounds and a passion for tree dogs, and all my life. My grandpa he died when I was about 5 months old, and everybody always tells me that I got my passion from him because he was always a houndsman and stuff, and wished I could have met him. And a lot of times I'm going through the woods and I feel like he's right there with me, and I kind of enjoy the hunts by myself. And I talk to him a lot when I'm in the woods, and that may sound crazy, but that's just me.
I don't think it sounds crazy. That's all right. So why don't you tell us what's it like where you're hunting at? What's the terrain and type of squirrels and that kind of stuff?
Where we hunt here in the upstate of South Carolina, I'm around. I live in Union, South Carolina, and it's kind of in the upstate as we call it. And we've got some rolling hills, and we've got some river bottoms. We got probably around a couple of 100,000 acres of government forestry land. It's a lot of pine trees. We got mostly gray squirrels. A lot of people up north call them cat squirrels, and down south, according on where you're at. But we've got a lot of grays, and we're getting a little bit of fox squirrels in certain areas. You can kill a fox squirrel, but that's mostly what we have is mostly grays. But a lot of times, I'll tell a story later when we get a chance about a fox squirrel. But most of the time, I don't kill a fox squirrel unless somebody's with us that wants to mount it. We don't waste nothing. If we kill it, we either clean it, eat it, or somebody's going to mount it.
Gotcha. Tell us about some of the dogs you've had.
I started out a few years ago. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the hunting organizations or not, but
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. Back a few years ago, we had a big hunt here in Union, South Carolina. They called it the Clash for Cash. It was an NSD squirrel hunt, and we had a big coon hunt the whole week and a big squirrel hunt for 3 or 4 days. I think it was 3 days. And the coon hunter guys didn't know much about the squirrel hunt, but they brought the NSD organization in, and I kind of told the guys, I said, "Hey, I'll handle the squirrel hunt if y'all just do the coon hunts," because I didn't have a coon dog at the time, and I said I'll just handle that. And so Jimmy Emmons came up, and Rod Hardy, and the NSD crew, Sean, and I kind of just got in good with them, and we hosted that hunt for 4 or 5 years, and then we put on some good money, 5,000 added purse, 3,500. Had some good crowds out here, but it kind of faded out some when the big coon hunt went away. But that's where I kind of cut my teeth at in NSD as far as the competition style hunting. And up till today, I support the NSD, the ONCBA. I do the USDC. I don't hunt a lot with them, but I mostly, that's the three that I hunt, and I just enjoy hunting all of them and fellowshipping and going out and having a good time with the guys.
Mm-hmm. The main reason I called you from the get-go was wanting to hear a little bit about Festus. What would you like to tell me about him? As far as I guess we could start at the beginning. And how and when did you acquire him?
Um, I got him. It's been about 2.5, 3 years now, I think. He was up at Chad Murphy's up in Kentucky, and Chad was wanting to step away for a while, and Glenn Rogers owned him, and we call him Pappy. And Pappy called and said, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." I said, "What is it?" He said, "I know you know a lot of people and talk to people," and he said, "Can you help me promote Festus?" I said, "Sure," because I hunted with Festus back when he was younger, and man, he was a ball of fire. Get gone, get treed. Um, Good tree dog, accurate. And when I had that opportunity, I jumped at it, and I went to Kentucky and picked him up, and I brought him here, and I talked to Pappy, and I said, "All right, what we gonna do?" And he said, "Let's advertise him and promote him." And I said, "What about hunting him?" He said, "Treat him like he's yours, and if you want to hunt him, hunt him." And he's been pretty valuable, I would say, over the years. He's won a lot, and but it's still, he's got a passion to hunt. Even right now at 12 and a half years old, I hunted him 3 days this week. And I mean, he'll still go 800 yards or so if he has to get treed. And uh, when he trees, I pretty much look to see a squirrel when he parks and stuff.
To back up just a smidge, just for anybody that doesn't know, what tell us what Festus is out of.
Festus is out of 2020 Tank and 2020 Sassy, and he is actually a full brother to Hummer, but he's the last litter off of Tank and Sassy. So him and Hummer are actually full brothers, just different litters.
Gotcha. Who was it that you said started him? Do you know much about that story?
I don't know a lot about who started him, but I know that I know he's won uh, 4 NKC world titles. He was national champion in NSD. He's in the Hall of Fame of NSD. He's a dual grand in OMCBA on coon and squirrel. Um, he's won a lot of titles and a pretty good bit of money over the years. But honestly, I don't know who started him and stuff. I know I think the Peavy houses owned him at one time, and but Rod Hardy put a lot of miles on him. Made him Hall of Fame in NSD and in the numerous hunts and stuff. So Rod put a lot of miles and a lot of wins on him, and Chad Murphy put a lot of wins on him and put a lot of miles. So I can't take credit for nothing that he's accomplished other than I have got the pleasure to meet a lot of people through him, and I've got to enjoy him even at his age, to take people hunting with him and let them see a dog tree squirrels and do it and have fun.
Why don't you tell us about his conformation? As far as like if you'd have took him when he was just in his absolute prime and pulled him out of the dog box, what would you be looking at?
Uh, he's built as good as any cur dog you'll look at. Um, he's got a good conformation. He's getting down on his feet a little bit in the front. I'll tell you, I'll straight shoot you just like it is. But he's 12 and a half years old, but it don't slow him down none. But back in the day, you could have put him on a bench show and won bench shows with him, or put him in the woods and won hunts with him. But he's got a good conformation. He's muscled up really good, even for his age. And I'll repeat myself a lot for his age, because I mean, people still. I had him at Jamestown in December for the World Hunt out there, the ONCBA World Hunt. I carried him with me, and people just walk up and be like, "How old is he now?" I tell them he's 12 and a half, and they just shake their head, and they're like, "There's no way this dog is muscled up and looks as good as he does for his age." I said, "Well, I know he is." you know, so, and people just, I mean, it makes me feel good when you carry him out like that. I've carried him to numerous hunts at Jamestown. Haven't hunted him in any because he don't have anything to prove. But people come up and take pictures with him and bring dogs over there, offspring off of him, and take pictures with them. And, some older people say, "Man, I remember him when he was young, and he still looks good." And, it just makes me feel good, and that we're taking care of him and giving his just due, that we just didn't throw him in a pen and just let him waste away.
Mm-hmm. What's his color and coat like?
He's they call it yellow or red in ONCBA, but he's pretty much red with a little white trim, and he's a little gray face now. But hey, he's got a little white on his chest and on his feet and on his back legs and stuff. But overall, he's pretty much just a solid red blanket back, typical OMCBA looking dog, other than the brindle.
Pretty light coated.
Yeah, pretty light coated. And when you breed him, he'll throw some brindles, he throws some blues, he throws some reds. Um, he'll throw a lot of different colors with different females. It's according on what he's bred to, but he throws a lot of red pups.
Okay. Tell us about his hunt style. What's his hunt style like as far as nose and range and handle and mouth?
Um, right now, at his age, um, I hunted him, like I say, 3 days this week, I think, and I had him to go over a half a mile on the Garmin, just cutting the woods up. He hunts kind of like a bird dog. He'll hunt 300 or 400 yards one way, and then he'll come back and hunt. And, he's not a straight line, just fire through the country type of dog now. Uh, but you can tree him on his first bark. If he barks, you can tree him. And he's still a pretty good, solid tree dog. Um, he's lost some volume, but back in his day, I mean, he was never, not a big, overpowering type of mouth, but just a good, solid tree dog.
How's his handle? Got a pretty good handle on him?
He's got a good handle, but he don't, he don't like to come back a lot of times. He just likes to just keep hunting the woods up till he trees most of the time. Most of the time, when you cut him loose, you're going to find him treed somewhere.
How far does he get from you at times?
Mostly right now, 500-600 yards is about the max of it. But like I say, you can watch your Garmin. I reset my collar a lot, and a lot of times it'll be a half a mile or so on the Garmin that he's hunted, and sometimes his speed now is still 6 to 7 miles an hour, which ain't great, but it ain't bad for his age. But and then he liable to tree, and he'll be 200 yards from you.
Mm-hmm.
And but he just cuts the wood up, and uh, he's pretty accurate. Like I say, when he parks and sits down and barks, I feel like I'm gonna see the squirrel more times than I don't.
What's his tree style like?
Um, if you look on the internet, I post a lot of videos of him, and it's kind of funny. He likes to be up on the tree, and most of the time he'll have his left foot on the tree, and his right foot will kind of be dangling, and then he'll swap up a little bit, but he likes to be up on the tree, treeing, pretty solid. He don't goof around none. He's not a 120 bark tree dog by no means, but he trees well enough to get you there.
I gotcha. What would you say he's got any quirks that you've noticed?
Oh, mm. I know all of them do, but I don't really know I can't really pinpoint one. Um, if he's got a quirk, well, I ain't gonna say it's a quirk, but it may be. If somebody pulls up in the yard to breed a female, it's like he knows what's going on. Um, he goes to barking and bouncing up and down on one foot and back and forth and chopping his teeth and stuff. But that's not a quirk. He just knows what's fixing to happen when a visitor pulls up here to breed. But I mean, I'm gonna cut in on you on this, but I'm sure that back in the day, he probably had some that was make you scratch your head or probably make you want to make you wonder what you hunting him for. But I haven't seen him since I've had him here.
Talking about him as a stud dog, how does he seem to cross particularly well with any certain line or type or?
He's crossed good on a lot of stuff. A lot of the I bred him to about not every bloodline out there, but I've crossed him on a lot of different bloodlines. He's crossed really well on some OMCBA dogs. He's really crossed good on some hounds too and made some tree and curs. Um, but he had a real good cross with Red Hot Flame. Um, and this ain't one, this is just one of them, but the Red Hot Flame cross and Kenny Gray and Merle Seeley owns her now. And when she comes back in, we're going to breed her again. But last year, that cross there, there was 4 pups in the litter, and all 4 of them made the top 8 of the OMCBA Junior World Hunt, one being a reserve world champion. And I think all 4 of those are champions now and doing really good in the NSD hunts and the OMCBA hunts.
Yeah, I'd say
So
that's a
that's
good
just one
cross.
cross. Yeah, that's been one cross that's kind of stuck out. It's been really good. Um, he crossed really good on Bo Butler and Tim Tipton's Liz female and their Shadow female, which those are hounds. Um, but he's been bred a lot, and I tell people this: he may not have 100 world champions out there, but you talk to people that's got pups out of him and stuff. He throws squirrel dogs, and you don't see a lot of them for sale.
Hmm.
If that makes any sense, most people that get them are really satisfied with them.
Well, you got any good stories about the dog?
Yeah, one. Uh, we was going to a hunt here um, last year. I think it was last year, and OLB Chapman up in Indiana, and Tim Mays was down here, and we turned 3 or 4 dogs loose. We were just out pleasure hunting. LB had wanted to see him go, and we turned loose, and they went down the river, and Festus barked a couple times. I said, "Well, he's treed," and we was going to start to him, and he just quit. And it wasn't but a few minutes later, I looked on the garment. I said, "He's coming back to us." I said, "Something don't seem right here." And it wasn't but a few seconds later, he come back to me with a squirrel in his mouth. He'd caught one on the ground.
Hmm.
And he was 11 and a half years old then. And I think if my nephew was with me one time, since I've been hunting him, I think he's caught 3 or 4 squirrels on the ground, even at his age. I don't know if he's running up on them hot or what they're doing, but he's sure he can catch one on the ground like something it's unreal how quick he is, I guess, to catch them on the ground like that.
Huh, I've never had a squirrel dog catch one on the ground. I've seen one do it once, but I've had bird dogs catch one.
Yep.
Uh,
He's caught 3 or 4 on the ground since I've had him.
huh. You
And
I'm guessing you've shot a lot of squirrels out to him. A lot of pleasure hunting with him.
well, that's a funny thing too. I don't kill a lot of squirrels to him, which I don't usually carry a gun hunting when I go. We don't have a lot of game out here this year, but over the years since I've had him here, um, I've killed. I can't tell you how many I've killed, but it's been a good bit to him. But when I go with some friends of mine that's got deer leases or something like that, and they want to have a good killing, we carry a gun. Most time I don't. I let them carry it. But um, last year we went, and he went. I think he made 12 trees, and we killed 10 squirrels to him. And that was on a deer lease, but there wasn't no feeders around. All their corn was gone. But those guys that went with me, I actually went with a college football coach and a friend of mine, and they was just in oohs and ahs. They was like, "This dog can tree that many squirrels." I said, "Yeah, you should have seen him when he was younger. If you think he can do it at his age now." But that college football coach was kind of like, he couldn't believe it that we was killing that many squirrels with him.
Hmm.
But he has treed quite a few, and like I say, I don't kill a lot. I just pat him on the head and just walk him off the tree and recut him.
Tell us about some of the other dogs you've had.
Um, the one I got out there in the kennel now is Rocket's Josie. She's off of Johnny Rocket and Farrell's JoJo. She's got some age on her. She's 10 or 10 and a half. I've won. She's a grand squirrel champion in NSD, and in OMCBA, I think she's a champion. And I finished reserve world with her in the LMC through NSD. I finished 7th place at the OMCBA world with her. And this past year, I got beat by 20 points to make the top 6 at OMCBA, and got beat in sudden death to make the top 10 of the LMC world with her. So at her age, she's still a pretty nice dog too. But with her, I've got her here that she's still fun to hunt. And I had the little Anna dog here for about 5 years. Now that was probably one of my favorites I ever had, and we talked about her earlier, but she was one of my favorites that I've ever had. She was off a burlap and a tree and walker female. She was a tree and cur, but one of the loudest, hardest treeing dogs that you've ever heard back when she was younger. And she died here this past summer at 12 and a half years old. But she made a tree the week before she died. We were still hunting her. And, but that was one of my all-time favorites here. And then I had Dot the Eye, which is a hound. You either loved her or hated her. She could tree a few squirrels, but she could put a crick in your neck looking up trees too. But she done a lot of winning. She was a night champion in coons, and then she was a squirrel champion in NSD, and she was national champion hound. She done a lot of winning, and she was a fun little dog to hunt, action packed. But that's been 4 that I've got here now that I can really say that that I've really enjoyed and had fun hunting, between Dot and Anna and Festus and Josie. And there's been several more, but those are probably my top 4.
You start many pups, or do you like to buy older dogs a lot of times?
I don't like pups, and I love raising pups, and I raise a lot of pups here. I raise pups for people too, and I've been told, and not tooting my own horn, that I raise some nice, fine pups. But my job, I work for the railroad, and I work out of town a lot, and I work daylight to dark when I'm in town, and it's hard to do a pup justice, and I'm smart enough to know that. So I would rather hunt an old dog that don't need a lot of tuning and hunting, that can get it done and not have to be pushed to be right. But I love raising pups, and I've actually got a little feist pup, but she's in a training pen now off a pig, the pissed off pig dog of Ken Nisley's.
Yeah.
So when I tell people I've had about one of everything here, I've had feist, I've had hounds, curs, tree and curs. I think I've had about every dog here, but the curs have really kind of broke me from some of the others, because I like the accuracy and the hunts and the handle on the cur dogs. A lot of people may not like that comment, but that's my experience, and which I still like the hounds and the tree and curs and all that. But the curs, the regular OMCBA bred curs and stuff, has kind of took over what I like in my kennel now.
What's some of your better hunt stories you got?
Some of the better ones is, like I told you, with the football coach and my buddy with Festus and Josie doing those treeing. I get told a lot of times that I'm crazy. We leave South Carolina, and I've been to Illinois. I've been to Pennsylvania, Ohio. Hunted in Ohio one time with Dean Wright and Eric Probert out of Pennsylvania. I left South Carolina wearing short sleeves, get to Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and there's about a foot of snow on the ground. So that's kind of a shocker. Old South Carolina boy going up hunting in a foot of snow. But doing that, I've been to Georgia hunting. I've pretty much been a lot of places hunting. But just some of my better hunts, I carried a guy last year and his grandson, and I had Festus and Josie with me, and his grandson got to kill a fox squirrel, and the gentleman cried because his grandson, it was his grandson, got to kill his first squirrel with a dog, and his grandpa literally sat there and cried with the experience of doing that with his grandson, and that was pretty touching there. But I've had some good hunts, and um, I've hunted. Uh, I've hunted up in Ohio with Dean Wright and Tom Smith, and I'll mention them. I know we was talking about some hunts, but I'll kind of get off track a minute. But um, when we first started down here with the NSD hunts, the first year I was just helping run it, and the next year Dean and Tom comes up, and Dean hands me a leash and says, "I got you a dog entered." Uh, didn't know what the dog looked like, didn't know what the dog sounded like or anything, and he let me hunt her for 3 days in that class hunt we had, and then we made a friendship that has lasted ever since. And for the first 3-4 years that I was in the squirrel dogs, um, Dean and Tom kept me in a hound or a dog or something. They'd call me and say, "Hey, come up here. We got a dog for you." I'd get in the truck and drive 8, 9, 10 hours to Ohio and go to some hunts and stuff like that and bring a new dog home.
Huh.
So I've got I've met a lot of people through these dogs, and um, my ADD's kicking in, but I was thinking about one hunt. Um, the first NSD hunt I ever went to, I went to Chuck Gaeto's and picked a dog box up I'd bought and spent a weekend up there and had a great time at his camo days he used to hold, and went over to West Salem to Dean's house, and he's like, "We going over to Hadley Rod and Gun over in Pennsylvania, going to a coon hunt tonight. You want to go?" I said, "Yeah." So they loaded up 3 dogs, and on the way over there, we was like, "Well, what dogs we gonna hunt?" I said, "I don't have a clue." And they said, "Well, we might let you hunt this one." And Tom played a video of her on his phone, and I'd never seen the dog or heard her bark or nothing. And we get ready to go hunting, and they put me on Dot the Eye, that was her name, to handle her that night. First NSD hunt that I'd went to, and this was before Dean and then brought me that one down to the class hunt. And I drew out with Ryan Clancy on a 2-dog hunt, and I never will forget it. Ryan will laugh about it to today. Dot barked. You could treat her on her first bark too. She was dead silent, and she barked and located and started treeing. And Ryan looked at me. He said, "Is that your dog?" And I said, "I have no clue, Ryan. I've never heard her bark before." And he said, "Well, it ain't mine." I said, "Well, it must be mine, tree her." And we went in there, and I think she treed 2 or 3 coons that night. And won the hunt, the first NSD hunt I'd ever been in, a coon hunt. And we kept her up in Pennsylvania that year and ended up winning I went back, I think 2 times after that, and hunted her in the coon hunts up there and hunted her in some squirrel hunts. And that year she was the NSD Pennsylvania Coon Dog of the Year. I won the NSD Pennsylvania State Hunt with her and brought her down to South Carolina after that race and hunted her in the state race of South Carolina the next couple of years. And I think she finished second one year, third one year, and won the coon hunt race one year. And I finished with her 8th place in the NSD World Coon Hunt that year. So that was one of my experiences with her on, several hunts in a row there. But she was fun to hunt.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you got a couple stories where you didn't know the dog you were hunting, which is.
Oh, I did. I mean, it's crazy that I don't have a lot of dogs. I don't have not poor mouth or nothing, but I don't have the resources to buy some of these quality dogs that's out there. Like I say, not poor mouth, and I just got other things that my money goes to with the family. I've got a wife and 2 kids and all that. But since I've been in this sport, I have had numerous people that have put dogs in my hands that trust me with them and know that they're going to get took care of and they're going to get fed and they're going to get, their wormings, and they know they're getting took care of, and they pretty much tell me, hey, here they are. They're yours. Just do what you want to with them. And I've been blessed to have friends like that take care of me with dogs and stuff.
Well, like how well did Dean know you whenever the story you were talking about with him?
Didn't hardly know me at all. Um, didn't know me at all. He walked. He hunted that first year at the class. And I told him back in the day. Like I say, I'm 54, but years ago I used to field trial with a buddy of mine. We'd go up in Ohio and all over water racing and stuff like that. And Tom's dad didn't know him. I probably met him back years ago. Used to field trial, and we pretty much got to talking about people that we knew, and we had a lot of friends in common, and we just hit it off. And like I say, the next year, Dean just walks up and says, "Here's your dog to hunt," and it was his Lily dog, M&W Lily, and never heard her bark or nothing. And I'll tell you a story on that one too. I drew out with Russ Covington and Jason Carey that hunt, and some hunts stick out in your mind better than others. But it was my first NSD squirrel hunt that I handled in. And little Anna, Russ was hunting Anna then before I ever got her up here. And Anna treed. And I didn't hear Lily barking. And Lily had a little softer mouth than, some dogs did, but you could still hear her. And we walked into the tree, and Lily was standing in there on the tree. Lily would put her chest on the tree and her head looking straight up. And she was barking, and I couldn't even hear her for Anna barking. That's how loud Anna was. And but we had a great hunt. But that was my first hunt with her. And then it's like as the weekend progressed, I got better with her, calling her, but I didn't win with her. But after that, like I say, Dean, we got good friends, and he kept me in some. I hunted numerous dogs for him, over the years and stuff. Him and Tom both.
Well, I don't want to jump too far back, but you kind of piqued my interest when we first started talking about. You mentioned your grandpa and being told you got your love of dogs from him. Tell me some more about him. What kind of dogs was he hunting?
He hunted mixed up hounds back in the day. I was born in 1970 and he died in 71. He just had a bunch of I guess back in the day they called them curs or running hounds or walkers, but he always he had some rabbit dogs, and they treed some possums and some coons, and didn't have a lot of them back then, but he just he was in the Korean War. And if I lose it on this, just bear with me, because it kind of gets emotional talking about him, even though I didn't know him. But he got shot up in the Korean War, and it messed him up pretty bad. And he came home, and he always hunted and stuff. And I've got a few pictures of him. He was wearing them old bib overalls, and he smoked him a pipe and all that. But in April of 71, he drank a lot, and it's no big secret. Everybody knows it. But they was over there. We call it across the river. It's right there on the Broad River. And there was a bunch of people over there, and he drank, and he got drunk and passed out, and the woods caught on fire, and he burned up.
Hmm.
But that's pretty emotional, even though I didn't know him.
Yeah, that's I, I hate hearing that.
Yeah, but I can say, I've got his flag that draped his coffin when he died, and I got his K-bar knife that was in his pocket the day it died, the day he passed away. It still got the burn marks on the blade and the handles and stuff. They never cleaned it, but my uncle gave that to me a couple of years ago, and that's a pretty good memorial. Didn't mean to get off track, but
No, you're
that
you're all right.
that means a lot to me. I've got his, like I say, his Purple Heart that he won in the war where he got shot up. I got his knife, his flag. Just got a lot of memories from people talking about him. Even today, that's been 50, 54 years ago, and the older people that hadn't died off right now can still tell you stories about him and my grandmother. So they was good people.
What game was he running?
What's that now?
What game was he running?
Uh, he run rabbits and coon and possums and squirrels.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a bunch of dogs back in the day, and he just an old country man that lived on the river and just loved hounds and fishing and stuff like that. And my mom will tell you right now that she thinks no doubt that I got my love of animals from him.
Well, sorry if I got us off on something you might not have want to talk to about, but
No, I don't mind talking about it. It just sometimes it get emotional. I tell people, I said, I'm a grown man, but I still got a heart and emotions. And I don't know why it is, but it's always emotional when I talk about that.
yeah, well, it's quite the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about while I got you on here?
Um, I'd like to just say, I thank the people that's been in my life and will continue, I hope, to be in my life, and the ones that breed these dogs, and the ones that come and breed the Festus. Even at 12 and a half, he's still an active breeder and had a litter of pups born Thanksgiving Day. But the main thing that I see is there's different organizations out there, but we can all get along. We all got one common goal is to raise, train, hunt, have a good time, and but we don't need to fuss and argue and all that over each other. If you don't like to hunt one organization, don't go to it. Don't knock it, but you don't have to hunt it just because you don't like it. You don't have to knock it. But there's plenty of organizations out there to suit everybody's needs. If you want to go to the big money hunts, go to them. If you don't want to go to them, you don't have to. Stay at your local levels and stuff. And that's not just with tree dogs, but that's with all, the deer hunters and the rabbit hunters and all that. We've all got one common goal. And if the public sees us fussing and fighting and arguing over hunting grounds and everything that's going on, it puts a bad rap on us that we could work together better than what we do, and I wish we would.
Yeah, even on that sentiment, even kind of trying to bridge gaps between even over to deer hunters and all the other types of hunting, and the hunting community in general, which I think it's kind of a houndsman's. I think it's going to be kind of our responsibility to take the first steps in that, because eventually it's going to come down to we all need to be aligned and on the same page.
Right. And like I say, there's plenty out there for everybody. So it's just like cars. Some people like Cadillacs, some people like Toyotas. Just cause you like your breed or your thing don't mean that you don't like the other ones. And that's the main thing. We all got one common goal, and we just need to keep our eye on that goal. And it's just frustrating when you hear all the arguing and the bickering and all that over hunting grounds and this organization and that organization and stuff. I try to support all of them. Do I support all of them 100%? No, but I support them where I can, and I fit in where I fit in.
To touch back on what you're talking about with people still breeding the Festus, if someone listening to this decides they want to breed to them, how would they go about getting hold of you, or if you feel comfortable telling people what your stud fee is, or how that works?
Yeah, like I say, I'm in the upstate of South Carolina, and his stud fee is $500. We had it at $1,000 last year, but we had to do that because we was breeding him pretty steady, and he missed a few females, and we went up on the stud fee, and we said, well, it may slow some people down, but I've been letting people breed for $500 here lately. and I offer return service. If they don't catch her, I'll give you money back. Um, he's LMC registered, which is Legacy Mountain Curry. His DNA is good. The NSD has a great DNA program for LMC dogs, or if you don't want an LMC, they can still be DNA'd and hunt in the pup programs. They've got a junior hunt and senior hunts and stuff. But he's OMCBA also, uh, USDC, UKC, NKC. So he's registered through about all the different organizations and stuff. And uh, when you breed, like I say, you can come here. Uh, I've got a kennel here that I usually keep a female overnight if somebody wants to come and spend the night, and we'll breed him one evening. And if I don't have anything coming, back to back on him, I'll try to get him bred the next morning or the next afternoon or something. Because I feel like if somebody travels, it's worth their time to, try to do our best to get them bred.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, you can call me at, I give you my number, 864-251-3040. Or if you want to message me on Facebook or call me or message me. If I don't answer, send me a text or leave me a voicemail and I'll call you back. And like I say, he had a litter born Thanksgiving morning. So even at his age, he's still, a real strong breeder. I actually bred a female last week to him. And he had her bred in about 15 seconds. He was hooked up. And I tell people when they come, I don't know if this is great for the podcast, but he usually hangs one from 8 to 12 minutes. And that's just, I know that's crazy technicality stuff, but that female bred last week, he hung her for 25 minutes, which is unusual for him. But like I say, even at his age, he's still a pretty active breeder. And if you don't catch in 63 days, like I say, we give you money back, or, you can come back and try it again.
Well, that's fair enough.
But I will say this, and I tell people this, when you breed into an older dog, you may not get as many pups, but I think his last few pups has been 8, 8, 6, and 4. That's his last 4 litters. But when you breed into a dog at 12, 12 and a half years old, you're gambling that you're going to get pups or not. We did try to get him collected last year, but he wouldn't collect because his sperm count was low. But the lady said he was good enough for live breeding, but he just didn't have enough to freeze or to do that, and that was kind of disappointing. But there are a few straws out of him, but not a whole lot that's out there, and don't know if they'll ever be used or if they will, be used for personal use back, in the years to come.
Well, you got any other good stories? It seems like once I get you rolling, you do pretty good on them.
Oh, I'm a talker. If I talk too much, just tell me to
No,
hush.
I like it. The less the more you talk, the less I have to, and that usually means less editing for me. So kind of what I told you earlier, and that's really kind of how this whole podcast was designed to work from the start. I'm truth be told, I'm not that much of a talker, so.
Well, I'm the opposite. I've been told I talk too much and I need to, sit down and shut up a lot.
Nah.
No, I just, like I said earlier, and I hope I don't repeat myself, I've just been blessed with friendships over the years, with people that's kept good dogs in my hands. I've had some good coon dogs here over the years. Probably could get more hunting in if I had a coon dog, but don't care for the competition coon hunts, but I enjoy going to the competition squirrel hunts. If I don't hunt in them, I'll go and help run the hunts. I'll help take entries, sell merchandise, whatever anybody needs. There's a lot of times I drive and don't even carry a dog, or if I got a dog with me, if I get beat out, I'll stay around and help. And but like I say, I've just been blessed with meeting people, not only with Festus and these other dogs, but just going to the hunts and just sitting down and talking to people and meeting them. And, a lot of times you see people on Facebook or talk to them on Facebook and you never meet them. But you go to one of these hunts and you liable to see 10 or 15 people that you talk to, but now you can put a face with a name and a conversation that you've had with them. And I really enjoy that too.
Mm-hmm. It's relatively limited hunts I've been to. I've met a lot of really good people at them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what I like about the comp hunts too, I did a podcast with Joey back last year, and I called it I think he named it a pleasure hunt with a scorecard. And a lot of times that's how I look at a lot of the hunts we go to. We have a great time out there. Everybody wants to win. But if you have fun and you don't have nobody there that's trying to cheat you and cutthroat you and all that, just let the best dog win, it makes it a whole lot more enjoyable for everybody else too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just enjoy traveling the country. I got an old pickup truck out there, and every time we get ready to go to a hunt, my wife will say, "Well, I guess you driving again, ain't you?" I said, "Yeah." And I've got over 200,000 miles on it, and most of the miles that's on it has been going to squirrel hunts over the last 5 or 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of times we'll go off to these hunts, and I've got a 3-hole dog box in my truck, and we'll throw 3 dogs in there and might have 3 or 4 people, and we always pack up in a cabin or a Airbnb, or it makes it easier when you got friends that travel with you, and we all split expenses, and it just makes it just enjoyable to be out to do stuff like that. And thank the good Lord that He provided this opportunity and give us this landscape and the animals and the land and the freedom to do what we enjoy.
Amen to that.
And a lot of people, our wives and stuff, they put up with a lot with us, whether we believe it or not. Mine will tell you right now, she'd speak to you. She'd say she don't even know where I'm at usually from about November to March. She knows that I'm going to be hunting and working, and that's pretty much it. And if I ain't hunting or ain't working, I'm talking about it.
Well, Tracy, I sure appreciate you coming on. I've enjoyed the conversation with you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and I wished I had some more information for you, and I felt like I rambled a lot, but like I say, if you'd have been here with me, you could have hit me and told me to shut up or slow down, or that was enough. But I'm just old. Like I say, I'm a 54-year-old Southern boy that likes to talk.
Well, I sure enjoyed it, and I think there will be plenty of others that'll listen to it and enjoy it as well. So I'll say thank you for them, and well, I guess that we'll call that a show. And all right, everybody, take care and keep wearing out that boot leather.
Oh, I forgot to tell a story about me and Caleb hunting. You'll get a kick out of this. My buddy Caleb Wilson. Darn, I meant that. Yeah, you told me to write it down, and I didn't. But me and Caleb Wilson, I don't know if you know him. He owned the Rocky
I don't.
Dog.
I think is that the
CMFW.
Yeah, I've heard of. I think I heard
Yeah.
a podcast he was on one time.
Yeah, but anyway, me and him was hunting about a month ago, and we literally, when I say we don't carry a gun, you'll get a kick out of this. We don't shoot squirrels. So anyway, we'd went hunting that morning with a couple of buddies of ours, and we'd treed a few den trees, nothing great. And Caleb's got a hound off of Tom Smith's stock of dogs. He said, "Let's go road hunting. Just let him stretch his legs." It's okay. We go road hunting. He road hunts about half, 3/4 of a mile, falls off and gets treed. Literally, we could about throw a rock and hit him. And we walk in there, and the prettiest fox squirrel you ever seen laid out on a limb. And Caleb's like, "I've never killed a fox squirrel before. I'd like to kill one to have it mounted." And he looked at me. He said, "You got a gun in the truck?" I said, "No." I said, "You didn't bring one?" He said, "No. We had to call our buddies that we was hunting with to bring us a gun so he could shoot the fox squirrel out to mount it.
I had to do that with a bobcat one time.
Did you?
Yeah.
But we never carried guns. I mean, I don't even have a gun in my truck now. But I thought that would have been a funny one to put on there. But all right, well, I won't hold you up no more. Like I say, I can talk your ears off.
I just want to give everyone that's listening a sincere thank you. Getting this podcast going has been a project. I really hope you're enjoying it, and if you don't mind, give the show a good rating and review wherever you're listening to it at, or share it on your social media to help get some traction. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to your feedback.